Peace. Peace this morning. Well, whatever time you may be watching this, it's early in the morning for me, sitting here at work. Just pondering, contemplating life and everything that has come with it, my own and the life of others. I just want to be brief, and I say that a lot all the time, actually. But honestly, I want to tell some prison stories and brief ones, because I want people to understand why so many people, not only in the inner cities, just like, Army veterans, why so many people in the inner cities and rough areas have this PTSD, this post-traumatic stress disorder, and so when people come home from prison, why are they quiet, or why do they elect to spend time alone, or why do they seem like they're still kind of leery of people and places? Some, not everybody, or why they get overly intense at times. And this has to do with the environment of prison, but the inner city as well. When you live in certain neighborhoods, you have to fight a lot. You have to fight guys in your neighborhood because there's a testing process. It's sad, but there's a testing process. You come out, guys are kind of grouped up. You gonna hang with them or you not, and so guys will test you, and you fighting them. So now you fighting other streets that you have to walk through, other groups of guys that you have to pass just going to the store. And so there's often a tension. You fighting at school because then you run into other neighborhoods and you find yourself writing on the walls or trying to represent where you from. Again, going back to loyalty, we're loyal to places that could care less about us. They care about the additional number. And if you are a soldier, someone that can contribute to that group of guys or that place, then, you're respected and seemingly loved. And if you get locked up, someone else will fill that place. And sadly, if you die, they'll write your name on the ground in spray paint. They might get a couple of T-shirts in your name, but no one's going to walk to the store for your mother every day. No one's going to take care of your child, your baby brother or sister, make sure that they go to school or they're staying out of trouble. So again, we're loyal to areas that could honestly care less about us as a total package, but rather us and what we can do for them at the moment. So again, I want to tell some crazy stories, man, because in prison, things happen so abruptly. Like there's always attention. I mean, I've seen guys, man, who were Muslims, who were striving to walk the right path, who were supposed to not deal with weapons, who are not supposed to walk around prison with knives and locks and socks. I've seen them with knives, locks and socks, because you just don't know when it's going to happen, something serious, and if you're going to get, caught up in something because someone that you're close to is caught up in something. So one day I was in the cell, waiting on what they call cell break. And cell break is usually, in some prisons, that's when, like, let's say at 6:30, they'll pop the doors for 5 minutes. And, you either decide to go out in the pod or stay in your cell, and your roommate decide to go out in the pod or stay in the cell. And then after 5 minutes, the doors close. So I think it was around 5:30. It was 6:30. It was around 6:30. And I remember waiting for cell break. It was like 6, probably around at the time, 6:15, so, guys are getting ready to come out. Guys are putting their soap dishes and towels on the slot because they're basically, saying I'm about to take a shower. So guys are wrapping it, putting it on the slot of their cell. So I'm on the cell door, and there was this guy. He was from Richmond, and I never really knew him. He only was in the pod for maybe 2 weeks. Young guy, kind of, I guess, about my complexion. And, he smiled a lot. He just smiled a lot. That's what I remember the most. He was about my complexion. He was smooth face, had like a light mustache, and he was, cut up. He worked out, for those 2 weeks we had rec or whatever, but he worked out a lot. So he was sitting in front of his cell. I think he was in Upper D and Nottoway, in the far corner. So I would say he was in cell 79, I think, 79. So he would sit in front of his cell every day. And I would go to the phone. I knew a couple guys in the corner cell, 80, and I would go speak to him when I walked past the brother, I nod my head, and he always was smiling, just, short wave. And he seemed like that's what he did all day. So, people like that, you watch a little bit. Like people that walk around with their face all bald up, you watching because, in prison you have a lot of weirdos. And pardon me for calling guys that, but that's what you have. You have guys that have real live mental issues. There's a documentary on PBS somewhere that speaks about so many mental health facilities being closed. And because of them being closed, many of the people who were supposed to go to those places upon committing crimes or whatever were sent to regular prisons. And you can tell sometimes that some people have real mental issues, but so forth. So he was smiling. So one day, like I said, I'm on the door waiting for cell break, and I see him get up, and he goes to the telephone. And I can't hear exactly, but this is the sum of what happened. He went to the telephone. I guess he tried to use it, and there's a guy that's sitting there. They call him, he was a homosexual guy. They called him Red. He was kind of tall, mixed guy, and he had his lover, the short white guy. And they would sit together. They weren't roommates at this time, but they were eventually going to become roommates. So they were sitting together. So the guy Red asked the youngin, who behind you on the phone? And he speaks with respect. He doesn't bother anybody. He say, who's behind you on the phone? So, because I'm still on the door, so I just see, youngin turn his head, look back, and kind of shrug his shoulders, but you see him hang up, press the dial, then he pushed it, try to dial the number again. So I'm not really paying any mind. I just see that he's on the phone. So I'm looking around the pod, waiting for 6:30 to come so I can put my hand out the slot and get out, get my door open so I can make my way to the shower. So he walks away and goes sit back, in front of his cell, which is clear across the pod. The dude Red get up, and I see him get on the phone. I see the young guy coming back. Not really thinking, like I said, he's usually smiling. I don't see a mug on his face. He's not walking with a purpose. So all I hear is crack. I heard that. So you heard I don't want to say you heard a scream, but you heard a noise. It sounded like a scream, to be honest with you, but it was like a more of a grunt, a long grunt. And the guy turned around and hit Red upside the head with a lock and a sock. Just hit him. Pop! And you didn't see blood at first. So when Red turned around, Peanut, which was the lover, he jumps up, and Red put his hands up. He was a country guy. He didn't look like he could really put his hands together, So he put his hands up, and just when he's about to swing, he fall into the wall. Blood is pouring. And I'm not exaggerating when I say pouring down. Where his feet are, it's a pool of blood. So Peanut jumps up. He tries to grab Red, but he swings at the guy. The young guy takes his shirt off real quick because what he realizes was Peanut had a knife on him. And it looked like it might have been, a few inches. He carried a knife with him. So he pulled out, he swung, but he missed. So the young guy got his t-shirt. And this other guy from Richmond, man, I remember him well. He was a good guy. Really, he was a real good guy, man, and when I say good, he wasn't on that homeboy stuff. If he was cool with you, whether he's from Norfolk, Portsmouth, DC, Maryland, New York, whatever, he was just a good guy. He wasn't on that homeboy stuff at all. Oftentimes he sat alone because he realized, and him and I had a conversation, that hanging with the homeboys got you in trouble. So he came out the shower. Now, another older brother from New Jersey is actually in the cell beside me, so I hear him yell out the cell, y'all just gonna let him jump him? And he's saying that because in his mind, it's a white guy and, his lover, it looks like they're trying to jump the guy. Now, again, the guy Red can't get his burns. There's blood everywhere, so I saw him swing, but again, he's falling on the wall. I didn't see him fall, lean on the wall because he's getting woozy. And, his man holding him up as best he can and trying to swing. So when the youngin take his shirt off, now this is all happening within a minute. So youngin got his shirt off, trying to make sure that knife. So when, he about to swing, dude get out the shower. Man, the guy I was telling you about, the good guy, man, he get out the shower and all he has on is a towel wrapped around his waist and he's holding it. The whole pod is looking because no one really messed with the new guy. They didn't really know him. So he didn't have a, group of guys that he rocked with enough to come to his aid, which if I'm out the cell and people that are watching this know me, I done broke more fights than a little bit, man, in the prison system. In the Virginia prison system, man, Nottoway, Greensville, guys that know me tell you, I done broke a lot of fights up. So if I was out there and I wanted to, wave my hand to get my door open, but if you do that, there's a mirror in each corner above the doors coming in and going out of the pod. So if I wave my hand and the officer comes and lets my door open, he or she can see that mirror and it reflects in the corner area. So, that would have drew attention to the fight. So I couldn't really draw attention to, getting out the cell. But the guy got out the shop, man, towel wrapped around his waist, and stood in front of, the two guys, Red and Peanut, and had his back to Younger, like, nah, y'all not gonna jump him, man. That's not gonna happen. And, I heard, Peanut was saying, no, whatever he was saying, I just heard it like, you just hear the rambling, like basically trying to say, he did this and did that. And Young's still behind the guy, with his guard up, like, but, he accepted that, that broker of peace. And like I said, it was a whole pool of blood. Red actually had to go to medical and get his head stitched up. They locked him up. He didn't tell, but they locked him up because, it was obvious that something happened. I think he said he fell and busted his head. So they locked him up, and eventually, Peanut left because whatever part Red eventually came out to, Peanut went to him. That's how that environment was. Guys that were, lovers, they would find each other and they would be in the same pods and eventually be in the same cells with each other. It's crazy because you can be a decent dude, have a roommate, and y'all just not getting along. You can go ask the sergeant, man, can I move? You know what I'm saying? And your roommate can stand beside you like, yeah, he all right, but we not getting along, man. It's getting tense, da-da-da-da-da. Sergeant won't move you. But, and again, guys can attest to this. Look at my comments and guys will tell you whether I'm right or wrong. In prison, homosexuals, they got ample power. They have ample power, and there's a reason behind that. Some were hot, some were tail, and that's just the way that ball bounced. And I know this. But I say that to say that situation happened so abruptly. Red didn't say anything disrespectful. He actually asked the young guy, excuse me, who behind you on the phone? Young turned around, and maybe because he knew Red was homosexual, he didn't like him. He didn't like being asked the question. Maybe because he didn't get through to who he was looking to get through to on the phone. Whatever the reason, when he got off the phone, Red got up, rightfully, picked the phone up, tried to make his phone call, turn his back, to the pod. And Young just came and hit him upside the head, man, and busted his head wide open. I'm talking about blood pooled all on the floor. I mean, like a real pool of blood, like someone that spilled a half a gallon of milk. And this happened every day sometime for long periods of time. Prisons were going locked because there was so much violence that were just back to back to back. You could leave that situation, go to child, and be sitting there eating and planning on going on the rec yard. Man, where you going, man? I'm gonna go hit that weight pal. You too? And you'll just hear, pow, and you look, and 5, 6 guys jumping on a guy. You'd hear a scream, ah! You look, somebody getting stabbed over here. And that was the environment. So, believe me, people that were inside, though likely earned that place, likely earned their position in prison. Not justifying any crime they've committed and not saying that we weren't deserving of, that harsh environment, that harsh lesson. I'm only explaining that these are things that went on in there, and, this and other factors are the causes of what we see out here in the streets. And even the streets are similar, if not the same, the inner cities. And this is why we see what we see on the faces of our young people, on the faces of some of the elder people, anger, distrust, pain, regret. Soon I'll be speaking about generational trauma and how the generations, our parents, our parents, and how that ill affects us and how we take that in and it ill affects our children. But like I said I was gonna keep it brief. I thank you all for listening. Truly, I appreciate you all, man, from the bottom of my heart. And whoever's watching, whether you're sitting at home or you're sitting in a jail, you're sitting in a juvenile facility, you're sitting in a prison, if you're watching this, know that if you genuinely want to change, don't let the person sitting beside you who may not want you to change, don't let them slow your growth or hinder your growth. Sometimes you have to step out on your own desire to evolve and be better, because again, when it's all said and done, who are you going to be loyal to? The person that's truly showing you a genuine love, or the person that's, talking it, but their actions are contradictory. So continue to push yourself as I'll continue to push myself. Again, I appreciate you all sharing these videos. I want to reach as many people as I can, and I want to, assist in helping people. And that's my way of giving back, because I know I owe. So again, thank you. Like it, subscribe it. And like I say, share it if you would. I appreciate you, and I'll see you all soon. Have a blessed and peaceful day.